You might have seen the recent news about world-famous vocalist Celine Dion releasing a documentary later this month chronicling her struggle with a rare autoimmune disease. 2 years ago, the Canadian megastar revealed that she had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, causing severe spasms and muscle rigidity.
For many suffering from the illness, it's extremely difficult to diagnose. It can have debilitating effects on basic daily activities. So today, we're helping raise the awareness. This is Anthony Palermo. He joins us in Historic Studio D this afternoon to talk about it. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon.
Wonderful to have you.
Glad to be here.
So can you tell us the basics of what a person experiences with?
So it can be a wide variety of different illnesses combined into one. It could be, for instance, and Celine Dion has the same type of stiff person syndrome that I do with what they call startling response. As a matter of fact, I had experienced some neurological issues, and this going back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And the average diagnosis takes about 7 to anywhere up to 10 years.
Really?
So I was chasing this down, but it could be anywhere from, a startling response where I had a neighbor that had honked the horn one day to wave to me, and I had my back turned, and I went down like a ton of bricks on my face in our lawn, on our front lawn, and I had trouble getting up, walking for about an hour. I couldn't speak properly, so of course, started chasing down, going to doctors, but it could be anywhere from stimuli set it off, large crowds, excitement, noises, spasmodic events, and unfortunately, just 2 days ago, I just got out of the hospital again. I was telling Gary, and I was on my back porch, and I just don't know what happened. It happens that fast. It's like a lightning bolt that strikes, and the next thing I knew, I was on our back patio, and my wife was dialing 911. I was having severe spasm attacks, and when they start, and Celine Dion talks about this as well, they spread from one part of your body randomly to the next. So they can get up into the trachea, they can get up into the larynx. So unfortunately, 2 evenings ago, we got out of the hospital at 1 in the morning, but these things spread, and they can shut your larynx down, and they can be very, not only disabling, they can be deadly.
Good.
So
That's
yeah, it's kind of it's scary.
I bet. So you mentioned it can take up to 15 years to get diagnosed. What was your journey of getting diagnosed like?
Well, so there are comorbidities that they talk about, and a lot of people say, wow, what is that? Well, you could have another existing condition that's hiding behind the scenes, another autoimmune disease. In my case, I had been diagnosed with a very benign form of leukemia. And when I went to the University of Penn back in 2000, 2002, the doctors couldn't understand why is Mr. Palermo having all these other strange, spasms and other issues that with such a benign type of leukemia that we can just treat with a monoclonal antibody. And the fact of the matter is, they missed the fact that I had stiff person syndrome, but not to their fault. I mean, this happens over and over. And they say this is 1 in a million, and I know it's a very rare autoimmune disease, but I really believe it's underdiagnosed.
Yeah.
It's misdiagnosed. We were told when I spent 3 and 4 weeks in the hospital and then follow-up hospital stays, and I was in a wheelchair, I wasn't walking at all, that I had ALS, and basically that go home and get your everything in order. You're not going to be here in 3 months, and it was devastating, right? And then here I am, 15 years later, 12, 15 years later. It's an incredible journey. So
after all of this, 15 years down the road, you are not letting this stop you from being a positive influence on your community.
No, pace.
Why?
Pace. I used to teach our daughters, positive attitude changes everything. My wife and I would tell them all the time, right? And we have our oldest daughter who's a nurse. We have our youngest daughter who's a doctor of psychology. they cover our body and our minds now, right? As we get older, but you've got to be positive. And you know, Stephen Hawking, he quoted, you know, this astrophysicist. I just think about him and his incredible journey having ALS. He said life would be tragic if you couldn't laugh, if you can't be positive. You know, you've got to look beyond and get out of your own body and your own mind, and to still try to help others, you know, in your community and surrounding, you know, and anywhere that you go, right? So,
and all that you've been through, and you're here now, is there anything else you would tell folks about this?
There always have, you've got to have a bag of magic tricks, you know, setting aside. Never stop. You know, there's standard Western medicine, there's Eastern medicine. I'm using a plethora of different, you know, techniques to help with this neurological disease as well. Low dose naltrexone, which they traditionally have used in opioid clinics, but at very, very low doses, it actually stimulates your body to produce endorphins during the sleep cycle. There's so many things we need to, self-advocacy is the point, right? Chinese acupuncture, hyperbaric chambers, you know, EBO2, which is cleansing of your blood. You know, I've been through plasmapheresis, and you know, and you know, get a port placed, and so it makes your life easier when you have to have treatments. You know, there's a lot of things that we can do, but a lot of people are not self-advocates, and that's what I really would like to talk about, is the importance of self-advocacy, and then giving back to the community.
Stand up and speak up.
Yeah. So.
Anthony Palermo, you're an amazing man, I got to tell you that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I am
Amazing man.
inspired. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
coming
stopping
in.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you very much.
Stick around. DelmarvaLife will be right back.